Hey, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Monica, and I am going to be doing a cancer series in 5 parts of Nobody Told Me. So these are going to be things that I had to find out on my own, and I just thought, you know what, let's just put this out there. Perhaps other people can relate to this as well. So over the next 5 weeks, you will see parts 1 through 5 of what nobody told me. All right, so number 1, nobody told me. Nobody told me that relationships would change. And I want to talk about some of the positive things that happen, but also some of the negative things that happen. And I'm typically not this negative person, and I don't mean to say these things in a negative way. I'm just simply sharing my experience through relationships and cancer. Some of the positive things that happened were the relationships that grew stronger. A couple of examples are with my brother, who took care of me almost every chemo. He was there for me. He stayed the night. He cooked me food, making sure I was fed every 2 hours. He did so much for me, and our relationship really grew stronger. And now we talk every single day. Another relationship that grew stronger was with my stepkid's mom. She really made a point to check on me after every chemo. She wanted to go to a chemo appointment with me, and eventually she did. She just made it a point to show up. If you didn't do those things, I'm not saying you weren't there. Those are just a few examples of how some of the relationships grew stronger. A lot of people were there for me, like my neighbors, my coworkers, my girlfriends. All of those were also ways to see people come together and just to rally behind me, which was such a great feeling. So some of the things as far as negatively that happened with relationships, it was more specifically with the people who said, I heard them say it, that they were going to be there for me, and they didn't show up at all. They didn't check on me. They didn't do anything. And I'm not the type of person that needs a lot of attention at all. That is not me. It was just that they set that expectation and then it fell flat. And it really hurt because I am such a giving person. I'm very thoughtful. I try to make people feel special. And so when I was diagnosed with cancer, something that could kill me, and there was no sign of these people, that hurt my heart really, really bad. Perhaps it was too triggering for some people to show up. Maybe they've lost someone also, or had to experience someone being sick, and they couldn't deal with seeing me as well, and the fact that, I could die from this too. If I had to do this over again, I would have done this a little bit differently. I would have thought of just my core support team. It would have just been 3 people, my ride or die. And I hate to even say ride or die because that sounds a bit but anyways, you get the point. The people that would have just been there for me, no questions asked. The people that would support me and wanted to support me. Because everything else outside of those 3 people with support would have just been a bonus. I would have had minimal expectations, and I think that would have helped me cope. I also want to mention that through survivorship, I was still holding on to a lot of bitter feelings and resentment, and I didn't know how to let that go. One of the ways I've tried to do that is by meeting people where they're at. By meeting them where they're at, maybe they just didn't know what support really looks like. Because honestly, I didn't know what supporting someone with cancer really looked like before my diagnosis. I've learned how to do that through this, and I feel like it's one of those gifts that I've received through cancer. And that kind of sounds a bit silly saying it out loud, but I don't know what went through the mind. All I know is that they weren't there for some reason that's beyond me. And I just have to meet them there and say, okay. And I just have to move on. I have to let it go, because after cancer, I can't live with any more stress in my life, especially holding on to resentment. That's not healthy for me. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, Nobody Told Me is coming up next Wednesday. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know that you're enjoying this content, and I will see you next week. See ya.